Yeah.
Wow. I don't honestly think I've ever snuck out before.
Never.
Okay, but my thing is you've probably noticed this. I suck at lying. Like, I have just my whole life been a terrible liar. I have so many tells. Like, so I think for me, like, honesty has always just been the best policy in the fact that I can't even lie if I wanted to.
Yeah. It's not that sneaking out for me was a regular thing.
Oh, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, I did not think you were going to say you've ever snuck out.
Yeah, it's the key for me, right? Dad has joked with me before, he's alluded to that I was not such the model child that I made myself appear. And that's true to a degree, but also, when you're a kid and, especially with, my father trying to be maybe a little bit more of a stern parent, you have to pick your moments.
Right.
I wasn't trying to sneak out all the time. I wasn't coming back a little late from curfew all the time.
Yeah.
You got to pick and choose your moments. And so, yeah, 98 or whatever you will % of the time, I did abide by the rules and, and so, yeah, you can kind of get by with lying through just limiting how often you need to do it.
No, I completely agree. So I would love to get into, so you went to UW-Madison, which is known as, one of the top party schools in the country.
Yes, indeed.
So do you have any wild stories you want to share with us today?
Let me ponder that for a moment.
Or funny stories, wild, funny, any of the above.
So this one I've told before. I could probably tell a couple different things, I'm sure. So let me start with a little one here and see if I can think of any bigger ones in the meanwhile. But a funny little one for me, there's a picture of me somewhere I'll have to find. But me, and then shout out Breezy P and Sean the Big T Thompson. We lived together in this attic apartment. That
Breezy P Brett?
Yeah, Brett.
Oh, okay. I was like, Breezy P. I'm like going back. Anyway, continue.
But we lived in this attic apartment. It was definitely a you get what you pay for apartment. It was one of the cheapest apartments we found. And I don't know if you remember that blue house.
Oh, yeah, I remember this apartment. And it was a hike to get up to their apartment, straight incline. I'm like, how do you do this at all?
So, yeah, and it's funny. Actually, you reminded me of a different short story. So I'll tell two short stories here. One time I was just so goofy. It was a genuine journey for me to get up those stairs. Like, there's some recorded, there's some saved Snapchats of me. But it was genuinely like a handful of minutes of me getting up these stairs. Because you had to go up 3 different sets of stairs. You had to go up one set of stairs, or no, 2 different sets of stairs, I think.
They were long.
They were long stairs, though, yeah. And so, yeah, there's definitely some video footage of me out there just like, just laying on the stairs, just like laughing my head off. But also one time, we get back from maybe the bars, maybe a party. I can't recall, because this was kind of a time period where we were some of us were 21, some not. And go in the bathroom. And at this point, I still have my memory, but I kind of grayish, blackish out in the bathroom.
Swiss cheese night,
yeah, if you will, for sure. And so in the bathroom, I kind of start blacking out. And fortunately, this time, not a bad story, but apparently what I'm told is I open the bathroom door. Brett's there waiting. I just give him like this kind of brotherly pat on the shoulder. I think maybe I say goodnight to him or something. And then I just go over to my TV stand, and there's just like a glass sliding door. I slide it out of the way, and I just shove my head in my shelf with all my video games. Like, I shove all my video games out of the way with my head, and then I just crash right there. I just pass out. Like, I just fall asleep right there. And it was really jarring to wake up at like 4 a.m. on my living room floor and be like, well, I know I made it home, so how on earth did I end up on the living room floor?
Jesus.
So, yeah, there's a picture of me somewhere just, like, head in a TV stand, just sleeping soundly.
Oh, my God.
There's something with me about, for some reason, just, like, when I get home, and I have a significant amount of alcohol in my system, it's like my body's just, like, on this beeline mission to get sleep. I've noticed that, yeah, sometimes it's just like once I'm home, sometimes my eyes just get super heavy. And so I'm sure I just blacked out, and I'm sure just my brain in its limited function at that time was just like, need sleep, and just saw a place where I could lay my head and was like, well, that'll do.
Jesus Christ.
I want to see, if you don't mind, give me just a second.
Yeah.
I want to see if I can pull one more story, because I'm sure... It's funny, the way my memory works, like, if you gave me, like, a hint to a moment in my life, I feel like I could then, like, deeply recall it. But just, like, trying to recall it myself without kind of any hint or shove, you know what I'm saying? I don't know why. The way my memory works, that's very difficult for me. You know what? I think for now, I might reserve the right to circle back if I think of one, but I think for now... Let's,
Yeah. No, I agree. Do you have any regrets on going to a D1 school, or happy with your decision?
Overall, happy with my decision, but, you know, there's definitely some things I think about, right? You know, I see the way you talk about how you get your academic experience here, and I definitely wonder, should I have gone to a smaller school?
Yeah.
Because Madison... so many things I loved about it. And, you know, given the opportunity to do it again, I probably would still make the same choice. But to have smaller, more intimate lectures, and for it to be easier to have, like, a genuine, you know, close academic relationship with your professor, I think would be super beneficial. You know, I regret how much time I spent, and some of it was on me. You know, I didn't go to office hours enough and such, but I regret how much time I had to spend, like, getting out of lecture and being like, okay, I just had like a whole chapter of a textbook worth of information thrown at my face in 50 minutes. Now I gotta go to the library and try and get it to actually stick. Which begs the question, why even go to lecture at that point? You
right.
know? But,
no, I agree. Like, I kind of like that our classes are smaller here, and it promotes more, like, discussion versus, like, that. Whenever I had those classes... I did terrible in that kind of environment. Them just talking at me, like, I did feel like it was a waste of 50 minutes, because what did I do? Go home and read the textbook, take notes, and that's how I learned it. So I'm like, well, I should have just spent that 50 minutes doing that instead.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you know, hindsight's 20/20, right? You only really get you only really get college experience one time, probably. Some people, I'm sure, do it a couple times, but, yeah, teach their own.
No, I would agree. Ooh,
hey, now, don't
I
be
need
falling.
some coffee.
I know. Why you gotta come on. It's podcast time.
I know. So, what would you say the transition from college life to normal human life is like?
I like the phrasing of the question. It's weird. I mean, it's still weird to me, because it's been now a year and 5 months, I think. No, almost a year and a half since I've graduated. And, you know, we were talking about this a bit last night, but just so many things change. Like, last night, you know, we were up till, you know, I was up personally till about 1:30. And that's the first time in a while I've done that. There's just so many different little things that change, right? You're more likely to, you know, if you do go out drinking, I feel like I'm more likely now to hit, you know, or even if you're just drinking at home. I feel like now I'm more likely to hit peak drunkenness at maybe 10 p.m. and be in bed by midnight, versus in college, you know, maybe it's more you hit peak drunkenness by midnight and you're in bed by 2 or something.
Yeah.
So there's sort of that element to it. I feel like I do so much. One thing I do love is I feel like I do so much more with my Saturday and Sunday mornings now. You know, in college, you wake up Saturday, Sunday morning, and, you know, kind of like what you were doing this morning here. You know, you're hanging out with your roommates, you're making a little breakfast, maybe nursing away a little hangover or something. And then, you know, maybe by noon, 1-ish, then you're kind of getting started with your day. Where I've had some Saturday, Sundays where, like, by 1 p.m., you know, I've worked out, I've practiced, you know, some foreign languages I want to practice, I've been to a farmer's market, you know, I've done all these things, and then it's 1 p.m. and it's like, sweet, you know, now I'm really killing my day.
Yeah.
Right. Then there's some not glamorous things to it, right? You know, insurance, taxes, benefits, and definitely, like, one thing that's been difficult for me is the struggle of the grind of a, you know, 40-hour work week, Monday through Friday job. Mm-hmm. Like, one thing I definitely took for granted in college is pretty much any day, relatively speaking, you can kind of do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to say, you know, today I'm going to skip classes, I'm going to hang around, lay in bed all day, that's fine. Or I'm gonna, I don't know, skip classes, go to, some park or something, lay around in a hammock or, all that kind of stuff. Whereas when you have that 9 to 5, if you will, not that I have no flexibility in my schedule. Fortunately I have a job and a manager where he's pretty cool about schedule flexibility, but you still have to get work done. And you only have so many days where you can say, I'm not really feeling it today. Right? It's not, it's a limited resource. It's not an opportunity you can take more often. It's an opportunity I wish I took more often in college. I think that in a shell is kind of what the transition is like. So it's kind of weird. Some good, some bad. But that's how every, sort of stage of life's transition is, I feel like.
No, I would agree. As someone who's coming up on that transition, while I, have really enjoyed, partying in college and, that life, I do get what you're saying. And, sometimes it sucks because I feel like the weekend goes by and majority of the weekend I spent either, nursing a hangover or, just chatting and, which is great because you make memories, so I don't regret it, but I also feel like I'm not productive on, anything. All I do is school, and then when I'm not doing school, I'm with my friends. No other things are being achieved in your life.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Sometimes, which is, something that I enjoy this phase of my life, but I'm also looking forward to a more normal phase of life where you, have other aspirations than, slamming tequila shots and stuff, which it's just, different phases, and so... I'm sure, though, when I'm in that phase, I'll miss this phase, so...
Well, that's the thing. Grass is always greener, right? On the other side of the fence, so...
So I think something that's funny that Nick and I don't really know who came up with this, but we decided that during Thanksgiving we made Boomer Bingo. And this is, something that I forgot about, but then I remembered it, and I was like... So, brief... explanation of it. Did I come up with this or did you?
I think you came up with it.
Okay, so I decided, our Thanksgiving and holidays in generals have just kind of gotten smaller as maybe people have moved away or a lot of our family lives up north, so it tends to be Nick and I, and then I don't want to say older people, but our parents, our grandparents, it just tends to be more of a aged crowd.
We are usually the only ones in attendance from our generation.
Yeah, yes, that's a great way to put it. So for us, I will see on people's Snapchat stories them doing silly stuff with their cousins and stuff, and I'm oh, I don't get that. So I decided, why not make your own fun, right? So I sat down with Nick and I was let's do this Boomer Bingo. So we made these bingo cards essentially with things that we knew our family was going to say, just classic lines. One thing that my papa always says is he's oh, that Mickey Mousing around. Not quite, we still don't really know what that means.
He doesn't. I've tried to ask him before and he really can't even describe to me what it is.
Right, but he knows he says that, and then my grandma bless her soul, but she always is talking about the traffic and how there's all this construction, so we put that on there because we know she's gonna talk about it, right? And my dad, love him too, but he always brings up podcasts, so we put podcasts on there. So essentially we put all these things that we know they're gonna say, and then obviously, what family doesn't get into the political discussion at some point?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's impossible, I feel like. Maybe it's just our family, but I feel like it's inevitability.
I don't know any family who doesn't bring it up. So politics is gonna get brought up at some point, so we wrote the Dems,
sure.
Trump, all these funny ones.
Trump should have just been the free space, honestly.
Trump should have been the free space.
Hell, this year, let's make it the free space.
Yeah. So anyway, so we create this whole board with all these ones, and so anytime one of these gets said, you go mark it off, and then you have to take a drink, and then whoever gets bingo first has to do a shot, or what did we do? Finish your drink, or...
Ooh, I don't remember, but, definitely some sort of beverage
It was some, I think it was take a shot. Anyway, so we, started these bingo cards, and, essentially, Nick and I ended up with, double or triple bingo, both of us. And I was wow, this is, tough. So, yeah, we did get a little tipsy last Thanksgiving. What can I say? We, make our parents proud, but...
It is what it is,
Is this something we'll be doing, this year? Are we gonna do it again this year?
I mean, I don't see why not. Maybe we change it up slightly. Maybe we don't have to make it boomer focused, even things we expect we're going to say.